Right then, this is a quick walk around video, and this is for a Honda Civic 1.8 SR petrol automatic. Lovely car, facelift model, as you can see, covered just 66,000 miles and is in absolutely lovely condition. I apologise if it's a bit grainy this morning, it's a bit early, and also the drizzle has just started. Literally pressed the record button, but it's such a clean car, it doesn't really matter too much. Near side of the car, lovely and clean in the panel work, absolutely beautiful. They really are handsome looking cars. The white looks so good on these cars, especially these black alloys, the black roof, privacy glass. You got the smoke glass on the facelift model, so on the back here. Looks absolutely fantastic with the lower diffuser. But it's kept very, very, very nicely, I have to say. Offside, driver's side, again, beautifully smooth in the panels. It's exceptionally clean. Obviously the alloys over the years will have picked up a few minor little scrapes, but they are minor, relatively speaking, certainly for the age and mileage of the car, but it is in very nice condition. Coming to the boot area, lovely and clean and been kept very nicely. It's absolutely huge as well. Coming to the back now, full black leather interior. Again, it's been kept absolutely beautifully. The front, again, all really clean and tidy. Passenger seat, in beautiful condition. Finally come to the driver's door card, again, really clean and tidy. Driver's seat again, super condition. So we're inside the car now. Engine's running this section, so the dash can be seen illuminated, and it looks pretty much as new. Sat nav working perfectly. Pop the car into reverse there. That lovely clear gridded parking camera, all working exactly as intended. So turn the brightness on. Sat nav back on there. Sorry, it's just because it's so dark, it suddenly dims the dashboard for you. So override that so you can keep seeing it. Hopefully you can see up there 66,427 miles, and the only light currently showing on the dashboard is for low fuel, and that's it. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all, and that's a view you get as a driver of what I firmly think is the best dash design anywhere in its class, or the class above that for that matter. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key, all here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic 1.8 SR automatic. The car is registered LG65CGX and with a mileage of 66,428 recorded. The reason for all of our videos, and especially actually this road test section, is to basically to ensure that anyone is online looking at any of our cars advertised, they actually get to see that very car in operation. The reason we feel it's important is because, unfortunately, like so many people, we've been to see cars which looked absolutely fine in photographs or description, but only to get there and find out there's an obvious fault that shows up when you drive the car. So hence that's why we do it. We also do it on these very quiet country roads in this absolutely beautiful part of Gloucestershire. This actually forms part of the road test route we take our customers on, so the hope is then it'll be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, been very, very well looked after, and it is immediately obvious as soon as you drive the car. They're always a solid car to drive, very slick, and this is no different. Twist the key, engine starts instantly, settles to an absolutely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. I literally just popped a gallon of fuel in it because the fuel light was on during the walk around video, but that's now off. Temperature gauge running as a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda car. The engines are just another example of a brilliant Honda 4-cylinder engine. What Honda tend to give you is a kind of reliable, tough, very long-lasting engine. But more than that, in some ways, as much as they are clearly very important, is the fact that it's just such a lovely engine to use day in, day out. It is so civilized, tractable, refined, economical, all the things you want from an engine. It's absolutely brilliant. And to top it off, it's cam chain driven, so there's no cam belts, so you don't have a big service looming on them. Engine then feeds through into the auto gearbox, which, like the engine, has a reputation for being incredibly tough and reliable. It's very slick shifting. The ratio is obviously chosen very carefully to extract the best out of the engine, both in terms of economy and performance, and it does a very fine job of it. Notwithstanding reputation, you should always do the same checks on any automatic gearbox. Just make sure when you select drive or reverse, they don't go in with a great mechanical clunk or noise coming from there, but also on the move that the gear changes should in fact be very smooth and, you know, almost to the point you can hardly feel them, and that's exactly the case with this gearbox. You do have these little paddles. Right hand side one goes up the gearbox, left hand side one goes down the gearbox, so should you want to, you can operate it manually, which is very rarely used in all honesty, but it's actually quite handy when you're doing kind of overtaking manoeuvres, because gearboxes don't have eyes, they don't know what you're doing, they just want to change up as early as possible to get the economy, which can be interesting halfway around an overtaking manoeuvre. You could obviously put your foot down hard, get kicked down, keep your foot down, and it'll keep going. But to be absolutely certain, you know, just pull a tab back like I have now. It's set to be fourth. I go down again for third, so imagine I was overtaking something, put my foot down, go past it, change up when I want it to, and then once you've left it alone for a few seconds, it's turned itself off straight away, and all those functions working perfectly. Steering on the car, first and foremost, it tracks absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at this speed or any speed up to legal limit, but it's a fantastic power steering setup. They've got the weighting exactly right, so it's not that horrible overlight feeling you get with some cars. It's nicely weighted, but when you go through corners like this one, you hardly have to turn the wheel at all. You pick your point on the road, it goes faithfully to it, with pinpoint accuracy. It's absolutely brilliant, and it is matched perfectly to the chassis, because the chassis can respond with the steering absolutely fantastically well. You know, for those who just literally want to go from A to B comfortably, it's fantastic, because it gives you, I've got to stop saying fantastic, it basically gives you a very comfortable, very well damped ride, which gives you ride comfort is superb in a car. But for those who still enjoy their driving, it responds brilliantly. You know, I've always said it, the Civic has always attracted lots and lots of people to buy them who maybe have had kind of quite sporty cars in the past, but want something which still gives them a little bit of kind of reward for their driving, but has practicality, and the Civics do that. They are really, really energetic cars. They've got a lovely front end. They like to turn in, you know, all corners, A roads, B roads, challenging ones, constant radius, off camber, you name it. It devours them. It is a brilliant chassis. It also, by the way, because the reason I talk about it on this section of road just here particularly, there's no, it's like the surface of the moon, this road, unfortunately. There's no kind of nasty clonks, rattles or anything coming from underneath the vehicle that shouldn't be there. The whole car feels absolutely as solid as a rock, I have to say. I give the brakes a bit of a shove. Naturally, I was going to say that just as I came to a stop, which is always the way. Just going to give a bit of a thump. Just. It's a really, really good brake pedal on the car. What I'm looking for in particular is obviously good initial bite, which it's definitely got, but it shouldn't have any kind of pulsing or vibrations coming back through the brake pedal, and there are none at all. It's absolutely perfect. Finally, coming inside the car, the first thing that you're greeted by, which, especially when you get into any Honda car, is some of the videos you can't really pick up on, is the build quality. They are brilliantly put together cars. We're looking at a car that's now nearly 7-8 years old, and there's absolutely no squeaks, no rattles. You've got lovely nice texturing to all the plastics inside, but the first impression over and above that is of something that's actually very interesting to sit in and drive. It's got this wonderful dash display, which I openly admit, you know, divides opinion. But what doesn't is the fact that ergonomically it is absolutely fantastic. Its most conventional part, or the most conventional part, is the centre stack here, which by modern convention that's the way you kind of lay things out. Sat nav, relatively simple and easy to use, all working perfectly, but separate from anything else, you've got the digital climate control system with dual zones. You can have different temperatures side to side, but you're not having to go into sub menus. It's just there. You press buttons for your fan, your heater, everything else, all working perfectly. Pumps out lovely cold air, by the way, because we checked it in a nice warm workshop earlier on. Again, what videos don't get across is the tactile feel of all these controls in a Honda. Everything you press has that brilliant actuation to it. It just feels what it is, really slick engineered car. And that's everything, every button, every pedal, the steering wheel, the feels of kind of an oily engineered slickness. But my favourite part by far is this two-tier design in front. You've got an information display panel up on the left there. So if you let's say, I don't know, change radio station or change your fan speed as I do now, you've got a small display down there, but a much bigger one comes up high up on the dash. But the display that everyone looks at most commonly is your speed, and there it is, bold display. And I think it's miles better than a heads-up display. I've used both. Heads-up displays is kind of mounted, sort of displayed up in the windscreen. They're always slightly sort of weak, because obviously they don't want to get away with what you're looking at. That optically is brilliant. It's just white on black, crystal clear. You don't have to take your eyes off the road to look at it. It is genius. And then down below that, you got this more conventional pod of dials, big rev counter flanked by your temperature and fuel gauges, and a lovely thick-rimmed leather-bound steering wheel, which, like the rest of the interior, is in just lovely condition. These are superb cars. They are relatively expensive used, but for good reason. All good things are relatively expensive, and this is engineered to a different level to virtually anything else in its class, and it drives pretty much as new. I just can't fault it in any way. As always, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call.